I was never a fan of the dentist. They poke around everywhere, they always yell at me for not flossing, and they try to talk to you. And you're just sitting there like, uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. So you can imagine my delight when my advisor told me that for my chemistry PhD, I would be researching dental materials. Yeah, I wasn't super thrilled, but I was this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed graduate student, so I really began to sink my teeth into what goes into making a dental restorative material. Things like cavity fillings and dentures that make the reconstruction of teeth possible. When we start at the drawing board, we need a material that is hard like a tooth and can withstand the mechanical responsibilities of chewing. But what about the environment that tooth is in? Our mouths are constantly changing pH depending on what we're chewing, and our mouths are filthy, warm, and moist. But that's not it. We need a material that is biocompatible with humans, but won't allow for excess bacterial growth. Something that is white, but won't yellow over time. Something that lasts for a long time, but degrades in a safe manner. And something the dentist can easily handle and be safely stored before handling. And as if this weren't enough of a feat, it has to be low cost. Now, materials over the years have really tried to meet each and every one of these expectations, but ultimately, we do not have a restorative material that is a permanent solution for dental restoration. Amalgam was one of the first materials ever used, dating as far back as 1400 years ago in the Tang Dynasty, but it was first introduced in the US in the mid-1800s. Dental amalgam is a mercury alloy and metal mixture, and so if any of you have a silver filling, it's probably an amalgam filling. And it's actually really funny being up here because I can see all of you feeling around in your mouths. Now, I know mercury can be a bit of a taboo word, but there are a lot of advantages. Mercury prevents bacteria from reproducing. It's superior in strength, low cost, and are among the longest lasting fillings. But alas, they tend to be larger than some of the other options that are available to us, and having metallic teeth isn't exactly pleasing to a lot of people, unless you're this guy. And finally, there is still a bit of a controversy about whether mercury in that small of a quantity has any adverse health effects. So with that, the dental industry turned to polymers. Polymers are large molecules made up of repeat building blocks, and we can modify these building blocks to make so many materials: plastics, synthetic fibers, and now dental materials. Dental polymers were first introduced in the mid-1900s with a methacrylate-based resin, and modern dental polymers are a mixture of this resin and powdered glass. So they not only have the necessary mechanical strength, but they're also white. So if you have a white filling, you probably have one of these dental polymers. But these materials have their drawbacks also. They tend to shrink as they harden, so if you're trying to fill a hole with a material that shrinks, it's just not going to adhere to the tooth as well. And secondly, these materials tend to break down in the presence of acid and water, and our mouths are quite acidic and moist. And finally, some of those unreacted building blocks can leach out from the material and into our bodies, and that has adverse health effects. So we don't quite have a solution just yet, but this is where my research comes into play. Our lab is trying to answer this call by developing a whole new monomer system called thiolene materials. Unlike methacrylate resins, they don't shrink nearly as much as they set. They have far fewer unreacted building blocks, and they don't degrade in the presence of water and acid. But it's not a solution just yet. This idea was proposed a little over 10 years ago, and we're still in the infant stages of development. We have to think about all of those things I told you about earlier: biocompatibility, cost, and we hit roadblocks along the way. We have to creatively solve all of these crazy problems while catching up to more than 6 decades of other dental research. But the CDC published data showing that 91% of American adults have dental cavities. This fact still has not convinced me to floss more, but I think it would be so cool to see the material I'm trying to develop end up in another person's tooth. Just as long as it's not my tooth. Thank you all, you've been a great audience.